Hey guys, Brian with Cajun Cardboard coming at you from the great state of Louisiana. And I've got the great Jonathan Pixley, my co-host and guest today. We're going to talk about a couple of topics. We're going to talk about the Christmas Day games that are coming up in 18 days. I can't believe Christmas is 18 days away. I've got a buttload of stuff to do that I haven't done as far as family-wise and gift-wise and things like that. And then we're going to also talk about sports gambling from two non-gamblers. We're going to talk about sports gambling, and that should be an interesting topic. And we'll get into that. Actually, we're going to get into that first. But before we get into anything, I wanted to introduce Jonathan. He's appeared on my channel. This segment, Jonathan, and I didn't tell you this before we hit record, is going to move back to my channel. So this is going to appear now on the Cajun Cardboard channel rather than Luka Nation Network. We're going to replace this episode that we've been doing every Tuesday with a different, some different content. So for your thousands of fans that follow you and watch your videos, make sure you tell them to go subscribe to the Cajun Cardboard channel, because this is going to appear on the Cajun Cardboard channel. And we're going to try to make it, I don't know if it's going to be every Tuesday, but it's going to be weekly, just like we've been doing. And for those of you watching this, that means you're watching the Cajun Cardboard channel. If you like anything about me, make sure you go subscribe to the Luka Nation Network, because I am putting up probably 2 to 3 videos there every single week for you guys to check out. So same type of stuff, all basketball related. Nothing really different, just 3 extra videos on that channel every week. But this is going to move back to the Cajun Cardboard channel. So our viewing audience is going to be a little bit different, probably a little bit more basketball first type viewing audience, because that's kind of my channel. The demographic is a little bit more, it fits what we talk about, which is NBA history, basketball history, current NBA events, things like that. A little more basketball centric channel than the Luka Nation Network, which is all sports and even beyond sports. So we'll see if it's more well received here. Since the last time we spoke, anything up, anything happened in your life, anything changed, anything new? Did you win a lottery? Nothing?
No. Just like you, trying to get ready for Christmas and haven't done anything. So
yeah, I haven't either. I rely way too heavily on my wife, and then she starts to panic, and then she loops me in about 5 to 6 days before, and then all hell breaks loose, and I'm trying to do stuff during the workday and get here and buy this, and now it helps that we can buy some of this stuff online. But that's usually
the same every day. Like the same thing goes on in my house, and I tell her, look, I mean, all I need to know, just tell me what you need.
What to do. Yeah.
Right? Just tell me what you want me to do. And then the next year comes and it doesn't happen. And then I'm in trouble again because I didn't offer. But I'm like, it's a standing offer.
It's a standing invitation. Tell me what to do and I will do it. Like, how much better does it get what more do you want from your husband? Like, don't ask me to decide what to buy. You give me marching orders. You're the general. I'm the soldier. I'll go buy whatever you tell me to buy.
Well, especially I've got all girls in my house, right? So it's like
you especially, right? At least I can chip in a little bit with my guy, my boys that buy them stuff at the Nike outlet or Adidas outlet or whatever. But yeah, you're right. Like with 2 girls, like what more could she possibly want from you, right? That's perfection.
Give me a break.
All right, so I've been meaning to make a video, and it's going to be controversial, because I might be the last grown American male in the entire continental United States that does not sports gamble at all. Zero. I don't prop bet. I don't FanDuel. I don't bet on it. Now, I gamble as far as investing in basketball cards, and I gamble because I participate in fantasy basketball and I participate in fantasy football. But that's the extent of my gambling. We've talked about it very on a very small scale, that you also have never sports gambled, because you and me both hate losing so much that it's just really hard to swallow. But my video, Jonathan, that I was going to make was why I choose to invest my money in cards rather than put my money in FanDuel or DraftKings in daily fantasy and daily gambling and stuff like that. So I'll save that video for another time. But before we hit the record button, you started to tell me a story that you've been lured in. You're lured in along with every person that I know. Literally, Jonathan, every person I know is making prop bets here and there, or starting to do a little bit of sports gambling because it's become legal here in Louisiana, right? It wasn't always legal. And again, I'm going to sound like an idiot. I don't know anything about it. I just know that these sites exist, and it used to always be illegal for us Cajuns, and now we can get in there and we can make, daily bets or hourly bets, and we can bet in the middle of the night. And it's just, they've made it way too easy for people to resist, and you started doing it. So tell me your story and about that.
Yeah. So, my brother, who is heavily involved with it, like he enjoys it a lot.
Yeah.
And he's done a lot. He does mostly with football. He did some March Madness stuff and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I started thinking about it. I was like, okay, I'm the guy who, if I ever go stay at like a resort, casino, whatever, with my wife, okay,
yeah,
man, I don't even enjoy going and playing blackjack, right? Even though it's the fastest game ever.
Either I don't either.
Like, because $100, like, even if I go in with $100 and I lose $100, I mean, big deal. I'm pissed, right? When I lose $100. So I didn't think that I would ever go and do this, but I started thinking about it. I was like, the NBA, okay, I know more about the NBA than the average person. So I've got to be able to monetize it a little bit and just try, right? So
yeah,
I put $200 in an account, and I told you before, I'm up to close to about $1,000, which is nothing, but still. Just betting like little $10, $15, $20 bets, right? Occasionally betting $100 on something. But I do go, and what it does force me to do is pay even closer attention to the NBA games, which I enjoy doing, right?
Yes.
So I'll give you an example. Klay Thompson's breakout game a couple weeks ago, where
against the Rockets, I believe, right?
Yeah, right. So I go look at it, and I'm like, okay, let's see. This will be my biggest bet yet. I bet $100 on Klay to score, I think 25 in the game. All right. And the odds were pretty good. So the return was good for me. And he had 21 at half.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I took into account the fact that it wasn't a back-to-back, and it was the Rockets. Yeah. Right. And I looked at Klay's box scores over the previous 3 to 5 games, and he had been trending in that direction.
He was starting to cook. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I said, okay, look, let me put this down. Well, last night, I'll give you another example. So I'm watching prior to the game, Cavs and Lakers, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I knew I'm not betting anything on Anthony Davis, who I, by the way, won money on against. Who did he have the 55 against? Washington, right?
Yes.
I won money on that because I bet on him to, I think, go 30 and 15 in that game because Porzingis is soft as hell, and they don't have a guy around the rim to deal with him, and he had been trending that way. So I look at the Cavs deal, same bet almost, and I'm like, Mobley and Allen are going to give him fits tonight, okay? So I don't take that bet.
They gave him the flu.
The flu. Gave him Allen Mobley-itis is what they gave him. Right? Yeah. And so I look at it and I'm like, this is one of those games because it's in Cleveland that LeBron's going to try to go off. Yeah. So I bet on him to get 35 plus, and I bet on Donovan Mitchell to get 35 plus because I was like, Donovan Mitchell's going to be going back at him. Right?
Yes, yes.
So I lost on LeBron, but, I only bet $50 on each one of them. But I still made out in the end because of the odds on Donovan Mitchell. So, because he got 43 last night. So,
yeah, he did.
I was right on that one. So I've dabbled in a little bit.
Did you bet the under? Didn't you bet the under on Anthony Davis too?
No, I didn't bet it.
Oh, you didn't?
I didn't bet it at all because I was like, you know what? I've already been wrong over the past 10 games about this dude, so I'm not giving him another chance.
I don't know what to expect with this. Yeah. Right? Yeah, he's defying all odds just by staying upright and healthy. Like, is there a deal where you could bet that he leaves the game in the first quarter? Because I would take that bet.
Yeah, seriously. It's addictive, and because of your addictive personality, it could be a really fun thing, but it could also be a really bad thing. But you won't. I mean, you won't get out of control of it. But the fun part is, at the end of games, right, whenever you see, like the other night, okay, Cleveland's losing to the Knicks, right? But they're hanging around. So I waited to the fourth quarter to see how close they were, and I bet for Cleveland to come back and win the game. Well, they did, but I bet a small amount, right? So anyhow,
that does appeal to me. Betting this team versus this team to cover a spread, that's not sexy. That doesn't compel me at all. And I've managed to resist it for 48 years on planet Earth.
Right.
What does compel me is that fourth quarter bet you made and things like that. And the difference between sports gambling and investing in basketball cards is, number one, your results are immediate, right? So it's like you get paid or you lose right now, and now, and you don't have to hold. And the entry and exit is really simple. You see your money disappear from your account or it comes into your account. But the other difference is that you can bet against people. Like you can't really do that in cards. You can't short cards like people short stocks and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And so that appeals to me, and the immediacy of it appeals to me. And the fact that it could make, a Detroit versus Charlotte game on League Pass enjoyable.
Dude, I got ticked off because I was going to bet Detroit and Miami last night.
Yeah.
And Cade Cunningham wasn't playing, but Jimmy Butler wasn't playing. And I didn't take any of it. Like there was a bet for Jaden Ivey to make 2 threes, 2+ threes. And I almost took the bet. I didn't because he can't shoot. But he made 1 3. But I go back. So actually, I told you 30 and 15 for AD against Washington. Here's what I bet. I won $300 on this for AD. Okay, that he was going to make half a 3 or more, like 0.5 or more. Right. In other words, if he makes a 3, I win.
You win. AD. Yeah.
So and he's not taking many threes, but the 3 games prior to, he was 2 for 3, 2 for 3, 1 right. So I'm figuring, okay, and then I'm watching the game. I'm like, shit, he is never going to step outside the arc because he's killing these dudes in the paint.
Yeah,
he made 1 in the fourth quarter.
And that's all it took.
And that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would think given that Porzingis can't move laterally with AD, he'd probably gap the hell out of him and give him the 3, Right. But AD's been turning those down, and I think he's actually been playing a little bit more physical, which is good to see. Yeah. So I'm interested. We'll talk about it more after. I don't know where in God's name I will carve out any time to look at this stuff, but I've got too many friends that are saying, hey, do me a favor. Go sign up for FanDuel and use this code so they get their free money, right? So I've got all these people clamoring for my services, right? They just want to make money off their friend,
right?
So I'm sure at some point I'll give in and I'll jump in and start dabbling in it a little bit. Although the timing is not great with the economy and everything else that's going on. But again, I'd be talking even less money. I'd probably put, you're right, $200 in there, and I'd like to bet $5 at a time, just to make games interesting. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just to add a little something to it.
But you don't only bet NBA though, like, right? I mean, you don't want to bet.
Look, only NBA. Yeah.
College basketball. I mean, you might bet soccer though, because the World Cup is the thing.
Not really. No, soccer's too unpredictable. I wouldn't even touch it. I would only bet NBA basketball, and I'd probably only bet prop bets and stuff like that, to be honest with you. Because that's the stuff that I thrive on. That's the stuff that I dive into, ad nauseum, with the fantasy basketball and with prospecting cards and stuff like that. So my time's coming, man.
You know who can afford to bet right now?
Who's that?
Ronaldo.
Yeah. He's going to be betting with Saudi money. 600 million is a lot for somebody who can't get in the roster for Portugal. But wow, you've been paying attention. I know you hate soccer. So they benched him. The Portugal coach benched Ronaldo, played Ramos, and guy got a hat trick. So I was saying before the game, I was like, this coach has really left the door open to be second guessed beyond belief. But now he looks like a freaking genius, Yeah. So anyway, all right, that's enough about sports gambling. I'm going to look into it. You like DraftKings or you do FanDuel?
I'm FanDuel, yeah.
Oh, I wonder. Comment below. If you're watching this video, comment below about it. Maybe there's another one. Again, I am an absolute, completely ignorant about this. FanDuel, DraftKings. Comment below if there's another one out there that you think we should look into, or that's better than either one of those two, or if one of those is better than the other, or whatever. Well, I don't know anything about it.
I don't know the difference between either one of them. I just started with FanDuel, and that's what I'm doing. That's it.
Yeah. I didn't we're 48 years old, so your brain only has so much space. Like, I'm going to learn one thing. I'm not going to learn how to bet on 2 sites when they both serve the same purpose. So comment below for some of you guys out there that are veteran sports gamblers. And it sounds like I'm literally the last red-blooded American male in the world that does not gamble on sports. So I guess they're waiting for the shoe to drop, and I'm going to throw my hat in the ring. Let's talk about the Christmas Day games. Like I said, we're 18 days away, and this is gonna diatribe into some of the more finer points about the teams that are involved, where they're at, what they need to do, who's on their team, surprises, this, that, and I'm sure we'll get way off topic. But generally speaking, I'm going to pull up the Christmas Day games. I've got them here on screen share. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games. It starts at 12 o'clock Eastern, which is 11 o'clock Cajun time, and goes all the way to 10:30 Eastern. 5 games, 5 consecutive games. I watch as much of this as I can every year, except for the Knicks game, usually every year. And this will probably be no exception. I'll probably do family stuff instead of watching the Knicks, or do anything. Maybe I'll be on FanDuel instead of watching the Knicks game. Or maybe I'll watch it because I'm on FanDuel. These 5 games, Jonathan, you've had a chance to look at them and look at these matchups. Let's start in order of games you're least excited to see.
Okay. First of all, NFL games are going on today on that day as well, which we'll be the only ones not watching that. Right, it's the first time that they've had NFL games on Christmas.
Oh, I was going to ask. Usually, don't they agree not to, like, because I think like maybe the NBA doesn't play on Thanksgiving because that's a big NFL thing. And
right, and I don't know why they did it this year, but I guess you have the extra week, the extra games. But nonetheless, yeah, they're playing on Christmas Day first. I don't even know who's playing, but I know that there are games being played apparently.
Okay.
But again, you and I will be the only two males in Louisiana probably not watching the NFL.
Yeah, unless I'm trapped at a relative's house here because everybody loves football, I'll probably be stuck watching it.
Yeah. So obviously the Knicks Sixers game is the least interesting to me. Could care less. Even if Embiid and Harden were playing and whatever, I just have no desire to see that. And then after that, it would be Phoenix and Denver would be my second least.
Yeah. Well, let's go a game at a time. Tell me about the Sixers and the Knicks. That game, it's the first game. Surprises. Tell me where do you think the Knicks are in the East? Where do you think the Sixers are in the East? Are the Knicks in any way, shape, or form relevant in the East right now, or are they one trade away? Or is there anything about the Knicks that speaks to you? I mean, RJ Barrett always seems to be the sticking point with the Knicks. I mean, at this point, Julius Randle is what Julius Randle is. I don't think there's going to be any surprises. I don't think he's going to turn into trash, and I don't think he's going to turn into, an alpha mega superstar overnight. He's just that Zach Randolph type guy that's going to always push around 20-9 or 18-9 and just be that kind of inefficient dude. Am I missing something on Julius Randle, or is he what he is?
No, there's a reason why they can't trade him, because nobody wants him because he doesn't move the needle for anybody. So. And Barrett's the guy that they would, they don't want to move him, but he's the most attractive piece to move. So, but I don't.
Where are you on RJ Barrett, Jonathan? Where are you on him? Like,
I think he's what he is. He's a solid player. Never going to be an all-star, I don't think. Yeah. Maybe he'll sneak on a team at some point, but he's a dude who, at best, at his peak. Is he the third or fourth best player on a championship team? I'm talking about if he makes another jump. I don't even know if I see that, honestly. I think he's a good player. He's just a good player. Like, is he better than?
Is he a good player?
I think he's good. He's a solid player.
Are we sure?
Yeah.
His PER. I got to pull it up. His PER is 12. That's really freaking bad, man. Yeah. Like, that's 15 is the average for an NBA player, and he's a starter.
I guess I'll look at it and go, the stuff that he is responsible to do for the Knicks, he's not good enough to do those things. But if he were on a better team, maybe, right? Like, I use this.
Is he a point? Is he a point?
No. Is he better than Andre Iguodala was when Iggy was with Philadelphia? And the answer to that is
no. Not even close.
Like, it's not even close, right? But Iguodala was the fourth best player on a championship team, right?
Yeah.
But
Iguodala does things that RJ Barrett cannot and is not willing to do. Right. And that is usually the case with fourth best players on championship teams. And that's why they're championship teams, because they have players like Iguodala as their fourth, who's willing to, all right, I'm not going to score 24 a game. I'm going to score 16 a game, but I'm going to guard the other team's best player. I'm going to do all those dirty things. That's why Draymond Green's relevant.
Pull up Iguodala's stats. Okay, go pull that up real quick. Because if you go back and look at Philly, the dude wasn't averaging 22 a game, and his field goal percentage wasn't great.
Nobody's going to remember prime Iguodala in Philly, but he was no joke, man. Look, I'm going to pull it up right here. These ads are killing me.
There's nobody, and look, his field goal percentage at that time, look, he's in the mid four, he's 45 to 46, 47%, right? So he's averaging about what Barrett is averaging right now. The difference is he's an elite defender. Okay. And he did have the ability to be somewhat of a playmaker, as you see his assists. He's between 5 and 6 a game.
Jonathan, look at his effective field goal percentage, though. It's always, not always, but almost always over 50%, sometimes pushing 53, 54%. Yeah. And when you look at RJ Barrett, it's 45%. He's 28% from three, and he takes a chunk of them, and he's 40.6 from the field. And that's not an aberration. In his career, the dude is 40, 44, which is the aberration, 40 and 40. 40, 44, 40, 40. That sucks.
And I think he is where Aaron Gordon was, right? From a standpoint of thinking he's better than he was. Like, and by the way, I lost money on Aaron Gordon last night because I bet $25 that he would score 22 or more and the Nuggets would win, because I was looking at the Mavs and I'm like, oh shoot, it's altitude. Luka's not gonna be able to breathe. It's back-to-back for them. And he got 27, but they lost.
But they lost by 1, right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But anyhow, so I think that they're very similar. If he would accept a role like that, now granted, he's got to be on a better team to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
But if he accepted a role like that, maybe he could be a solid player. You're probably, let's just say this. We'll agree on this. With what he's asked to do for the Knicks, no, he's not a good player right now.
Can't do it. Yeah. We've talked a lot about the Knicks. The Sixers, I don't care one damn thing about the Sixers until Maxey, Harden, and Embiid are all on the court, and Tobias Harris. All 4 of those guys need to be on the court at the same time. Then I'll start caring. I haven't looked for an update on Maxey. I don't know how much longer he's out. So him playing matters a lot to me on Christmas Day. If he's playing, it matters, because I don't want to see a half-strength Philadelphia 76ers team. It's just not fun.
Yeah.
And then, as Harden and Maxey go, so go the MVP hopes of Embiid. And he's quickly fading as Mitchell on a healthy Cleveland Cavs roster is actually rising in those MVP rankings. So Embiid can't carry that team without a healthy Harden playing well and a Maxey, despite the fact that you would think Embiid's numbers would go up, but they're not going to win games. They're just not going to win games without those guys playing. I think that's enough about that game. That is clearly, and I think most people other than people who live in New York or Philadelphia would agree, that is the least attractive of all of the games, and it builds up to a crescendo. What the next well, I don't, you want the best game last. So what's next on the list of games these are all really good games. Let's be very clear now. So we've got 4 really good games to choose from. What's next on your list is least inviting to watch, Jonathan?
Phoenix and Denver, although I think it'll be a good game. I'm not I liked watching Dallas-Denver last night because I like watching Jokic and Doncic play. But it's really about Luka for me watching that deal. But I'm not intrigued. I'm just not, the Suns are what the Suns are. Booker's a great player. Doncic, Murray's not playing great right now. He's playing a little better. He didn't play well last night. But I don't know. I don't think the game has the wow factor. I think it'd be a great playoff series if everybody's healthy. That'd be fun.
Why are we not hearing more? And let me go back to the standings to refresh everybody's memory. The Suns are first in the West, and by the way, they are tied in the loss column with the Pelicans, who have very quietly become a force without Brandon Ingram. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But the Suns are first in the West, and Chris Paul has been a shell and missed mucho games. Why is Booker not being talked about more as an MVP candidate? Why is he not top 3 or 4 or 5? What's the difference between? I know Tatum's numbers are a little bit better, but what's the difference between Tatum and Booker?
No, it is a great point. But Tatum is a splash, right? And he just is. I don't think he's sexy to watch, but I think he has those huge games, whereas Booker is so super consistent.
Consistent with
what he does. Oh, and by the way, the other reason why this is the second least interesting to me is because the game's at 9:30, and I will have so much pumpkin pie and turkey in me. I will be in a coma.
I knew you were going there. You eat pumpkin pie? I didn't think anybody ever ate that. I thought it was just made and then left there while everybody ate ice cream and chocolate and everything else.
Get it from Costco, first of all, and then they have a pumpkin cheesecake at Costco. Oh, my God. It's unbelievable.
Why? Why would you do that? Why would you choose pumpkin-flavored anything in life? I don't understand.
I love it. I just love it. I don't know, man.
Why? What is
bread is great.
Comment below if you've ever eaten anything pumpkin flavored. In fact, I want to hear from people like me who would never, under any circumstances, considering eating any pumpkin or pumpkin flavored thing.
Man, I'm telling you, you're going to be one of few. I'm telling you.
Oh, you think so? I might have to figure out how to do a poll. I don't know how, but some smart person out there needs to message me how to do a poll, and we'll figure out who thinks pumpkin is okay to put into your body. Why are you choosing pumpkin over 1,000 other desserts that you could choose? Why not just regular cheesecake? Why would you want pumpkin flavored cheesecake?
Maybe because really it's the only time of year that you do it, right? You're right. I don't do it throughout the year.
All right, there's a method to your madness. I mean, like, why wouldn't you just eat as many cinnamon rolls as you could put in your
Oh,
body?
no, that's different. So every Christmas morning we make cinnamon rolls. So that's
We do too. We do too. Is that weird? My whole family does. And in my family, we got to make like 75 of them, right? 75. And everybody's got to wait for the next 6 to come out.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Okay, you threw me on the pumpkin thing. I forgot what we were even talking about because I can't believe
the Suns Nuggets. And
and the pumpkins. Okay. Suns Nuggets. Who wins that game? Suns or Nuggets? A healthy Suns. Let's say Chris Paul's back. He's in and out, and he's kind of questionable here and there. A healthy Suns versus a healthy Nuggets, and I don't know what the deal is with your boy Michael Porter Jr. I feel like I haven't seen him in the box scores in forever, but nobody's really talking about it. I guess they're tired of saying the same thing over and over. Yeah. Where is he? Michael Porter Jr. injured. Estimated return December 8th. That's tomorrow. Okay, so who knows? Maybe he'll be back tomorrow. Maybe he'll be injured again by Christmas Day. He's huge, right?
I think. Yeah, say that again. I'm sorry.
He's a big deal. Like, he matters.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah, I like watching him. And I think you put him on the floor, it's fine. But like Murray's he's just not quite back yet. But he'll be back by the end of the season.
I think so too.
Bones Highland, man. You made that comment on Bones Highland a couple of weeks ago on something we did.
Yeah,
I like him, man. He was barking at. Oh man, who was he barking at last night?
He doesn't back down.
At Dinwiddie, he was barking at him pretty good. It was pretty funny. Yeah.
Yeah. If you asked him, is he better than Dinwiddie? His answer is going to be an emphatic yes. Like, he's a very confident kid.
Yeah.
And I like Bones Highland. I don't know if he's ever, a Tyrese Halliburton clear cut starting, point guard for your team. But I keep saying it, I don't know why. This is the second video I've done today, and both times I've used Jordan Clarkson as a comp. He's different than Jordan Clarkson, but like, Jordan Clarkson is one of those guys. Is like, he's good enough to start, right? Like a Colin Sexton, he's good enough to start. It's not that he's not good enough. It's just he doesn't always fit, and sometimes he's better off as the dude who just his only job is to get mucho buckets off the bench. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's what I see when I see Bones Highland run the second unit, score the hell out of it, and he doesn't really have anybody to pass to, so that's why he's kind of a shoot first point guard coming off the bench.
Hey, this is crazy to me though. Jeff Green, for whatever the reason,
1 foot hop, yeah.
But once, like every third game, and it's like this mega. I mean, like he's 22 years old on top of everybody.
The bench gets up, the bench rises because they know what's coming, and it's a Jeff Green Statue of Liberty, and he's like 40 inches off his left foot. Why?
He went baseline last night, okay, and early in the game, and he stepped out of bounds. So the play was ruled dead. But like right as he took off, the whole bench stood up, like, "Oh, here it comes!"
Yeah.
Like,
he's
100 years old. Like,
how old is he?
I don't know, man. He's old.
We got to find out how old Jeff Green really is. Hang on. How old do you think he is?
I'm going to guess he's 36, 37.
I'm going to say 36 also. How old is Jeff Green? 36 in 101 days. So he's 36 and a third. Jeffrey Lynn Green. Nicknames. This is the best part about it. They have none. Uncle Jeff. That's his only nickname. Sorry, Uncle Jeff. It should be Grandpa Jeff. It should be Grandpa Jeff or Granddad. Just call him Granddad. All right, that's your second game. Let me look at this and let me think. That's Jokic versus Doncic. That's two of the top 5 MVP candidates, probably. I'm sorry. That's Jokic versus Booker. Probably Jokic is definitely a top 3 MVP candidate, depending on team success. Top 4, top 5. Booker is still in that big cast net we talked about, where he's in the 12, and probably somewhere in the 7 to 8 range, maybe on the MVP ladder, on my MVP ladder. Yeah, because you got Doncic versus LeBron, assuming a healthy AD versus Maxi Kleber.
Yeah, he won't have Allen Mobley-itis that night. Yeah.
No, he won't. Yeah, you're right, man. I'm with you. As the Suns and the Nuggets is next in line, and then good Lord, Steph versus Ja, Giannis versus the wing twins, Jalen and Tatum. Middleton's back, and then you've got Doncic versus LeBron. So you're right. Those are the 3 marquee games sandwiched in the middle of the 2 least attractive games. And again, that Suns Nuggets game is an awesome game. What's next? Which is the next one you're gonna be least interested to watch? Probably, you can't go wrong with any of these 3. These are going to be 3 really good games, man.
Yeah, probably LA Dallas. I was flipping between them and the Grizzlies Warriors, but I think Ja is going to try to do something special on that day against Steph and those guys. And I mean, even though the Lakers are playing better, it's miserable to watch. I just can't stand watching them play basketball. So, but I love watching Luka play. I love watching him play. So
yeah.
And I do think the Lakers are getting better. It's all based on AD, of course, but
yeah. Well, here's an interesting stat, and somebody correct me if I got this wrong, but as of last night, the Lakers were the fastest paced team in the league.
Isn't that crazy?
And the Mavericks are the slowest.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting matchup from that aspect. The fastest
Philly will be that. Philly will be that when Harden comes back.
The fastest team?
Slowest.
When Harden comes back, right?
Yeah.
Harden will take care of that. He will make sure. He'll make damn sure, right? And I'll be honest, Harden has got way more talent around him, but Doncic is having a season like Harden had a few years back when he won MVP in Houston, where it was like, I will create every single effing shot in this game, whether you like it or not, and get a look or get my teammates looked or get to the foul line.
And plays just as little defense as well. Yes.
And I've always said, like, people like to comp Doncic with Bird because they're husky white dudes with no muscles. That's a terrible comp. Like, Doncic is exactly like James Harden. Like, they play exactly the same type of game.
Yep.
Get to the foul line, create every shot for all your minions, score at all three levels. I think Harden probably was a better three-point shooter in his prime than Doncic is right now, but that might not always be the case. But they dictate every single possession on the floor, man. I don't know what else to say.
They'll get a fingertip dunk about once a week,
About once a week with one hand only, right?
Yeah. So no, I'm with you, and I love Luka's my favorite player in the league to watch. I just love it. I mean, he may even make the game look easier than Harden did back then offensively, because it's just. I mean, dude, you can't speed him up for anything.
You can't speed him up. It's very unique. In that way, he is a lot like Bird. In that way, he's like Bird. But as far as the way he plays the game, I mean, if you just look at how many times they dribble a basketball in a game, Bird versus – it's not even – it's apples and oranges. It's black and white. It's not even the same comparison. They're completely different players from that aspect. So I always thought that the comp was either LeBron or, even though obviously LeBron's uber athletic, or Harden, the way they just, they're puppet masters and they manipulate the game.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Yeah. So that's your next game. And again, that's assuming a healthy Los Angeles Lakers. I think, sometime after Christmas, we're going to see some of these teams start to make a move. I know Dallas has to know they have to do something, but I don't know what pieces they have to give to make something happen, Jonathan. Yeah. Don't they need another like athletic wing ball handler type, creator type to take some of this pressure off Doncic? I mean, his usage is like nuts, man, and it's come down a little bit actually.
Man,
don't they need something?
Yeah, they need somebody who's like comparable to like Middleton. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like they need.
Yeah, and Middleton. That's a great one. Middleton's usage is not based on pounding the ball in the ground, but it's like, God, can I just take the next two possessions off and let somebody else on my team do this? Yeah. And I think that right now, Dinwiddie or Christian Wood's the closest thing. And Christian Wood's not a dump it in the post kind of guy. Mm-hmm. That's one thing, right? That's a completely different type of taking the pressure off. Doncic has to run the pick and roll with Wood. So Doncic is not getting a playoff because Wood's a pick and roll guy, pick and pop guy. And Dinwiddie's just not quite efficient enough to be that guy, I don't think, at a high level. I don't think
he'd be a great six-man on a championship team.
Yep.
Dinwiddie would be. I mean, he's a really good player, man.
He is a very good player.
I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to start on NBA, but like on a championship team, I think he's a kind of a bucket getter like you talked about.
Yeah, I agree with you. He would do more damage and be significantly more efficient if he was playing against second units. There's no question about that. That's something that's often overlooked, right? When people look at stats and they're like, oh, he should be starting. Well, his numbers and his efficiency are not going to look the same when he's playing against the other team's primary wing defender compared to playing against, freaking Ish Smith or Jeff Green, who's guarding him on the second unit. It's just different, right? So
the Lakers are a key example of that with Russ, right? I mean, he's playing much better now.
That's it.
And that second unit, and he's accepted it. And here's the other part about it, which it was very glaring to me last night. LeBron's still a great player. I'm not arguing that, but he is definitely not the dude who can just flip the switch and go, I'm going to go get 18 in the fourth quarter, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. He can't do that.
He can't get by people the way he used to. It used to be, Jonathan, and he's the same size. It used to be if he was shoulder to shoulder, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
And now, and we know this because we played basketball into our late 30s. You start to feel contact that as a 25-year-old, you didn't even feel people. Like, people bounced off of me. And again, I'm not LeBron, right? But like, little people or people my size bounced off of me, but at age 38, they're completely throwing you off your route to the rim. It's just a whole different deal. And it's weird because he weighs the same. It's not like he's, it's just the explosive force behind it and the speed with which you make that contact. You can't just play through contact the same way. So he's not getting by anybody. He's not getting any easy layups. Well, he's getting some, but they're not in ISO situations as well.
And the other part about it too is, and we've always agreed on this, and I think like when people go watch, like just at a glance, they would go, "You're crazy to say this," but if you really pay attention to it, it's inarguable. He's not a great 2-foot jumper. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's a better than average 2-foot jumper, right? Right. Like when you compare it to off of the one leg, it's not even close. And so it's one of the reasons I've always felt like he didn't have a great post game because he's so big and heavy. It's hard for him to elevate over the top of guys in the post off of 2 feet because he's not like, again, he has gotten a better post game in recent years simply because he said, okay, I'm not going to jump over you. I'm just going to freaking put my left shoulder into the middle of your body and go to the basket.
Yep.
But him shooting fadeaways and all that stuff, he got pretty proficient at it, but he was never going to be Jordan, Kobe, those dudes in the post.
Yeah.
He was a great 2-foot jumper. And so I think like when you watch it now, because he can't get by guys, okay, he's not just looking dudes down and elevating up over the top to get clean looks. He gets shots off, but they're not clean looks,
Yeah.
So I've always thought that that's an underrated weakness, so to speak, of his, is that he never was a great 2-foot jumper. And so it was a problem for him in the post and in the mid range at times,
Yeah. And look, and you make a great point with him not being elite off of 2 feet anymore, even though he was obviously always better than average, than average 2-foot athlete. But that's why you see old people's percentages, Steph Curry notwithstanding, usually go down. It's not because they're become worse shooters. Like, we don't become worse at shooting a basketball. It's because we can't create as much space. So we take harder shots, and shots that used to be clean looks are no longer clean looks. And if you've played basketball at any, moderate level at all, you realize how drastic an effect that has on your percentages when you don't have that space. I mean, you saw the difference, when you're playing against, guys that are longer than you. Like, I hated playing against guys who were 6'6", 6'7" that were guarding me. I would much rather a little munchkin who was getting up under me because then I could turn my back to them.
Right.
But a 6'7" guy who was as athletic or more athletic than me, I couldn't create any space. I was terrible at that. You were better at that because you had a different body than me. But people don't understand that that's the problem with old age. You don't forget how to shoot a basketball. You just can't get open. You can't create openings for yourself.
And it's why Jordan's field goal percentage went down, Kobe's field goal percentage went down. And the reason, another thing that's really not talked about is those guys' free throw attempts went down as they get older, right? Because you can't get by guys like we're talking about with LeBron. So they are having to take more shots to get the same number of points, and they're more difficult shots. So the percentages go down like you're talking about.
It's the natural order of things. All right, let's move on to the next game. So we've got Milwaukee versus Boston, and then we've got Memphis versus Golden State.
Yeah, certainly for me, Milwaukee-Boston's the best game. So
I was going to jump to that. But so let's talk about Memphis and Golden State. But we're in the exact same order as what we would want to see. And I have selfish reasons for the Bucks and Boston game, which I'll tell you about. Don't let me forget. But Memphis and Golden State is the torch. Let's say Steph Curry passes on the torch for the best small basketball player in the world. And I say small, he's 6, what is he, 6'3", 195, 6'4", 190, something like that, 195. Yeah. We'll call him a small, right, by NBA standards. If he passes the torch on, fill in the blank, is he passing it to Ja Morant? Is that who he's passing the torch to as the next best small player in the NBA?
Again, we're assuming health. And yes, the answer is yes. And to me, it's because Ja is the Giannis of that position from a standpoint of being old school in his approach.
Mindset.
Right? Yeah. And so I think he's the guy because Look, I know everybody made a big deal out of Memphis winning all those games without him in the regular season last year. But if you went to the playoffs and when you saw Ja get hurt and they couldn't score a basket ever, okay, that's how important he is. He has probably the most overrated supporting cast in the league.
Let's look at it.
Yeah, I mean it's absurd.
Am I alone in thinking I think Dillon Brooks is absolutely horrible? I mean. He serves his purpose. I get that. But when I see Dillon Brooks, I see a PJ Tucker future for him. Like right now, he gets shots off. He doesn't make them, but he gets them off. I just see a future where he's going to try to linger on as this guy that guards and bothers people. I can't stand watching that guy play. He's on my list of the people that I least like watching play basketball. And I think everybody in my family can support me on this. We hate watching Dillon Brooks play basketball. It's one reason I don't watch very many Memphis games. Yeah,
he's a dude who, unfortunately, I believe he's going to be recycled, for another 10 years probably.
I think so.
But no, I'm with you. I don't think he's a starting NBA player personally. But regardless, Desmond Bane's obviously their second best player. He's ended up. We agreed he's a lot better than we thought.
Yeah.
Jaren Jackson is a lot worse than everybody else thinks, except for you and me. Steven Adams is Steven Adams, and so I mean, really and truly, you've got. I mean, is Steven Adams a starting big in the league still? I guess, whatever,
Is he?
I mean, maybe. But then look at the bench. That's what I really want you to look at.
Did they have enough to – I know, and you and I both – we coached against Tyus Jones in the EYBL. He was the best player in the EYBL.
He was.
Believe it or not. And probably – I think he was like maybe ranked one of the top 1 or 2 or 3 players in America out of Minnesota. Minnesota, right? I think.
Yep.
I think he does stand out. I think he's a very, very good backup point guard. But John Conchar, Brandon Clark's your energy guy. Okay, so there's your energy guy. Like me, I would rather move Bane to the 2 and start Brandon Clark instead of Dillon Brooks. And I think that would make them a really good starting 5 because Adams is serviceable. Santi Aldama, a lot of people are high on. I just haven't seen enough to see if he's an NBA quality starter. I don't think he is. I haven't seen Zaire Williams play at all this year. Am I crazy? Is he just now coming back, or
I don't know? I don't watch Memphis games. I'm like you.
I really don't watch much. I feel like I should know more about Zaire Williams because he's listed right here in their second unit, but I haven't seen him play yet. So maybe he's coming back off of an injury. I remember we saw flashes of him last year, even in the playoffs. He's a real long, athletic, kind of versatile Jaden McDaniels kind of guy. So we'll see him. And then Jake LaRavia is the rookie. David Roddy's the guy that we loved when we did our draft previews, the big barrel-chested guy who wanted to, drink a bunch of pitchers of beer and then, arm wrestle people. And he looks like a homeless dude that just strolled onto an NBA court and he's ready to fight. But, yeah, you're right, man. I said that they were going to have the biggest drop of any team in the NBA this season. And so far, they've kind of proved me wrong. I mean, they're in third at 15-9, one game out of first. So I've looked like an idiot so far. I just feel like at some point, I just don't see enough help around them.
They play so hard, and so like in the regular season, that matters, right? And so I don't know. I can't get in. I can't buy in. But I do want to see what I would really rather see about that Christmas Day game. I'd like it to be in Memphis because it is a pretty electric place to play. And then watching stuff, with a situation like that.
Tell him the STFU, right? Yeah. Sometimes Steph's he's at his best when he's on the road. And God, I mean, he's must-see TV, and I'd love to go watch him play in New Orleans. Unfortunately, he sits every time they play New Orleans at New Orleans. So you think John Morant's the guy, right? So, I mean, who else would be in that conversation as the next little guy? Garland is little. Kyrie is little, but we both,
Trae Young. I mean, that's it. I mean, that's really it.
Who are you taking right now? Trae Young? Oh, I mean, Donovan Mitchell's not much bigger than John Morant. I mean, Donovan Mitchell's like, what is he, like 6'4"? Bro,
Donovan Mitchell's 6'1".
Is he 6'1"?
I couldn't believe it last year when I heard that. I thought dude was like 6'5". I thought he was Dwayne Wade.
Is he 225?
But go look. I could not believe this. Then I saw him standing next to dudes. I was like, oh, my God. He really is
6'1".
215. Yeah. He's a monster. I mean, he's – yeah. I couldn't believe it.
He's 6'1". I had no idea. He's shorter than John Morant.
I thought he was Dwayne Wade. I really did.
Yeah. Holy cow. I had no idea. Donovan Mitchell or John Morant for the next 5 years, who you want?
I'm still taking Ja.
Donovan Mitchell or Trae Young for the next 5 years?
Donovan Mitchell. To win.
Donovan Mitchell or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander?
I go SGA just because he's younger.
He's not a lot younger. He's only 1 year difference draft class. Yeah, he's 2018. Mitchell's 2017. He's the same draft class. Okay, how about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or Trae Young?
SGA.
How about Garland or Trae Young for the next 5 years?
Trae Young.
Trae Young over Garland.
And again, I'm taking into account that Garland plays with Donovan Mitchell.
Oh, no, I just meant who's better?
Oh, I think Trae Young's still better, but I think the gap's even bigger because of their roles in their teams.
I got you. Okay. That is going to be a game, and I hope we see it's different. You got Jokic versus Booker, right? But that's not a mano-a-mano. It's a big versus a little. This is Steph Curry and John Morant for battle of Munchkin supremacy. Copyright Cajun Cardboard, by the way.
And these dudes are barking at each other the whole time too now. Not Steph and Ja, but like the teams.
The teams. Yeah. I think that's going to be awesome. I hope it breaks down into one of those mano-a-mano duels on ESPN in prime time in Golden State. You've got the new kids in the West versus the dynasty, which we can call the Warriors. What's left of it. That just sets up to be an amazing battle there, where I can see both those guys going over 40 and a whole lot of memorable moments in that game, which leads us to our last game, which is Milwaukee and Boston. We both agree this is it. We've been 5 for 5 on the order so far. I was alluding earlier to the reason that I'm invested. So I'm in a fantasy dynasty basketball league, which I've been in for, get this, 25 years in a row. And I've had Giannis since his rookie year. And now I traded for Tatum in the offseason. So now I traded Booker for Tatum, actually. Booker and something for Tatum, which has turned out well, even though Booker's playing really well. So I've got Giannis and Tatum, so I will be glued to that television. And as you know, and everybody who watches my channel knows, I'm extremely partial to the Bucks, my favorite team. Giannis is my favorite active player in the NBA. So this is an unquestionable number one game for me. I'm guessing the teams will probably still be, if we look at the Eastern Conference standings right now, Jonathan, they are one game away in the loss column. Boston's played 2 more games. Middleton's just now getting back. He's probably going to sit back-to-backs. I think he's played 2 out of the last 3 games. I don't know. They'll probably be full strength, no minutes restriction Middleton by Christmas Day, I think. I would have to think, because he's coming back from a wrist injury, right? It's not like a lower leg injury or something like that. So I don't think sitting back-to-backs matters with your freaking wrist. Either it's healthy or it's not. So that game might decide the top of the Eastern Conference standings. And even though it shouldn't, would you agree with me that sometimes statement games like this, and again, it's early in the season, mean more towards the MVP race than they should? One game's going to mean more than it should. If Giannis goes for 52 and 19 and Tatum is, 5 for 17 shooting and has 19 and 8 and the Bucks win by, 19, that's going to be something that people remember in the MVP voting. They shouldn't, because it's just one game, but you know how that is. Sometimes it's over amplified.
I just think it would flip the narrative in the short term. That's all it would do. But they would over analyze it and play. Oh, Giannis is obviously the MVP, even though he could go for
statement game. Somebody's going to say statement game, right? Steve Smith, Kenny Smith, Shaq, Barkley, Ernie. Somebody's going to say this was a statement game either way. Now, the odds are it's a nail biter, and the odds are they both go for 35 and no blood, right? But I can't wait to watch that.
It's gonna be fun, and I'm glad it's in Boston too. Yes. I think that's fun. I like watching Giannis in those situations, and look, I know even if, let's say, Cleveland bumps past Milwaukee by that point, you're still dealing with the 2 best teams in the league right now. I think so too. Definitely the East, but in the league, possibly, right?
I haven't looked. I don't think Robert Williams is supposed to be back for that game, is he? Let me hit depth charts real quick and go to Boston. I thought he was out until like January or some crap. Where's Robert Williams? Injured. Oh, shit. He's supposed to be back next week, Jonathan. He's supposed to be back in 6 days.
So he'll play. Yeah, he'll play.
They'll probably rest him the game before so he can play in that game. So, or maybe the Celtics will play defense and not want the Bucks to see their full roster. You never know how teams are going to handle that. I would hope, and this gets back to the oft mentioned topic where I wish there was a way that the NBA could police, these teams and stop all this BS where they sit people for rest or this or that. I hope they'll rest Robert Williams the game before so he can show up and play on Christmas Day, and we see a full-strength Boston versus a full-strength Milwaukee Bucks, because that's what the people want to see. Who wins that game? Who's the better team?
I've said I thought Milwaukee was winning the title since the beginning of the year. Boston's freaking good, man.
They're good without Robert Williams, Jonathan.
I know, man.
They're good with Horford and Luke Cornett.
They're really good. Right. And Brogdon.
Healthy Robert Williams is a whole nother animal, man. That's a whole other beast right there.
I didn't see the point in bringing Brogdon off the bench behind Derek White at the beginning of the year. I have since kind of going back on that, because he's an NBA starter, but for that team, he's perfect to come off the bench and finish games as well. I'm going to say Boston wins that game at home. I think it's going to be close. I think Giannis is going to have a monster game, though. So it's one of those probably 38-19 games, and they lose by 6, but it's really the 2-point game for the whole time kind of deal,
I'm with you. The thing, Jonathan, that I love about Giannis that you don't get from an Anthony Davis or some of these other guys is that if he has a bad game, it's not because he takes 11 shots.
Right.
If he has a bad game, it's because they're letting other people hack him, because that's the only way to stop him. But it's because he'll be, 9 for 24 and then, 5 for 16 from the free throw line. Yeah. So it's not going to be from a lack of trying. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, he's trending back in the right direction from free throw line, finally.
It can't trend any worse, right?
That's for sure.
Yes.
But I think, the one thing I didn't ever know about Boston, if I would think this or not, Tatum's a killer. I just didn't think he was going to be good enough to be that killer. I didn't think he'd be athletic enough, right? Jaylen Brown's a killer, dude. He proved that in the finals last year. Dude's a killer.
The finals last year, man. Tatum was banged up. I'm going to give him a break there.
Yeah.
But Jaylen Brown was 100%, and he left nothing. He did everything, anything and everything he possibly could.
And now I want to bring this up, okay, because I've been meaning actually to ask you about this outside of this. I want you to name in our lifetime, and I haven't given a ton of thought to it, okay, but a team in the past that has had 2 more similar wing killer scorer defenders than the Boston Celtics.
2-way guys, you mean both ways?
Yeah, but who also have that, they got that junk to them, I could go win the game by myself right now, Think about it. Obviously, Scottie Pippen was not that. So, Jordan Pippen was never that. Even in the year Jordan was gone, he wasn't that.
And this is tough, because Kobe never had anybody like that. You're talking about 2 wings.
2 wings.
Yeah, I mean, shit, I guess you got to go all the way back to Gordon Hayward and PJ Washington. On my Hornets, on my 2022 Hornets. No, man, I don't know. That's a great question. I was going to ask you this question. We're talking about, while we're talking about the best pair of 2-way wings. I mean, that's, Jonathan, what's funny is the answer to this question, if you asked it a year ago, would have been Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. But they're never on the floor at the same time. That's what it was supposed to be. But I don't know if we'll ever see that Kawhi Leonard again. Paul George is still a really good player when he's on the court. Kawhi Leonard is still in a wait and see. But that's what, the difference between Kawhi and Paul George is that look at the age of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. You know what I'm saying?
And look, bro, they're not that right now. And it's not just because they're not on the floor.
No, they're not. They're not that, and they're, and Tatum and Brown are still babies, by some standards, Neither one of them has hit their NBA peak, which is getting later and later, as we go on in the NBA, the way, technology and science and nutrition and all the rest and all this crap, and just figuring the game out. Mentally, your peak is certainly not in your 20s. Mentally, it is not in your 20s. No. And so I don't think we've even seen the best of these guys.
I'm not counting LeBron and Wade, because Wade wasn't a 6'7", 6'8" dude, right? That's why.
Oh yeah.
We can't count that.
Why? Why can't we count that?
Again, I'm talking about two dudes who are like 6'7", 6'8", long, and who guard their ass off, and because
but if you average 6'9" and 6'4", you get 6'7".
That's a good point. Yeah.
Well, let's both be clear, because we need to cover our ass here, right?
Yeah.
If you allow Wade and LeBron to be considered, then that is definitely that's a wrap, right?
That's why I brought it up.
That's a wrap, right. Oh, I'm glad you saved my ass there too, because a lot of people were going to comment about how stupid we were and never watch again.
Sure.
That's a good point. Who's the best 1-2 combo, regardless of position, in the NBA right now?
Them.
I think so too. I think so too. Who's second?
Middleton, when Middleton gets healthy, will be that.
Better than Embiid, Harden?
Oh, yeah.
Better than LeBron, AD?
Yeah. Again, I'm talking about because they play defense and they do other things, right? Yeah. Yep.
LeBron's done with the defense.
It's over. Yeah.
He's done.
Really. Yeah.
That's sad.
I love watching him. I love watching him on defense act like he's guarding. Like about once every 15 possessions, he'll get down in a stance, and then he'll get blown by, or he'll be in help, and then he's pointing at where everybody's supposed to be, and then his guy cuts back door for a while.
I know.
I'm like, dude, stop. Come on.
I know.
I'm just being fake Harden right now.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. All right, that's a wrap. We're at 55 minutes. Well, cool. That's a good episode. So I'm excited about Christmas Day. We'll put this one out, sometime before Christmas, obviously, but I'm excited, and I think all of our games were in the exact same order. I'm going to go check out FanDuel, or I'm just going to do FanDuel, because if I have questions, I can just ask you. You're old and dumb like me, so if you figured it out, then
dumber than you are. Way dumber than you are.
You can teach me how to figure it out. So we'll have strength in numbers, and maybe we'll both be millionaires. I tell you what, if I make a lot of money on FanDuel, I'm not doing this crap anymore. I'm not going to talk on this channel anymore, because I'm going to be too important. I'm going to have too much money. It's just going to be – I can't wait to bet on how many three-pointers John Conchar is going to make. I mean, things like this, this is what life's about, right? Tyus Jones, assist turnover ratios in games and stuff. I'm worried about the rabbit holes that I could go down, Jonathan. This could be
just wait till you see the number of options you have.
Options, right. I mean, Kevin Huerter's on there. I can bet on Kevin Huerter.
Dude, you can bet what Kevin Huerter's going to eat for breakfast that morning.
Can I bet on Santi Aldama? Can I bet on anybody to do anything?
Anybody who's on the roster, you can bet.
Do they give me crazy odds like Juan Toscano Anderson getting a triple-double? Like 450,000 to 1. Can I bet that?
Yeah, no, not so much of that. They're a little bit more realistic than that.
There's some reason put into it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Guys, thank you all for watching the Cajun Cardboard channel. Again, I want to reiterate this. Please go subscribe to the Luka Nation Network. I do put up 2 or 3 videos on that channel every single week. And there's a lot of good overlap and a lot of good content on that channel above and beyond me. And those guys are really good friends of mine, Andrew and Cage. So I want to make sure that everybody who's watching my channel is watching that channel as well. Comment below if we said anything today you agree with or disagree with. We saved our ass with the there's the pinky, so we know it's time to go. It's like the victory cigar for Red Auerbach. Comment below. I'm glad you saved our ass with that D Wade and LeBron best two-way tandem, because that would have been bad. Like, we'd have taken a lot of backlash and a lot of heat for that. So
like-sized guys. I should have said that.
Like-sized guys, like twins, right? Twins, yeah, on the wing. Thank you guys for watching. Keep collecting. Stay positive in the hobby, and peace. Cool.
Yeah. So tell me, the Luka thing, they didn't like us anymore?